Greetings, all Shardvixen here, and you know what? Okay, so, this is, happiness versus contentment. It's a little dark here, so, today is, Sunday, April 23rd. Sunday, yes, not Saturday, but that was because I was working on the little cartoon that goes at the beginning of this. Before I get into happiness versus contentment, I needed to talk to you guys about my channel. So I am going to be changing my upload schedule. If you watched any of my video game ones, you would know this by now, but I'm going to repeat it for those people who don't watch that, because some people don't watch them. Anyway, so the fibromyalgia and whatever else is going on with my shoulders, they changed my medication again to try to figure out why I fall asleep. And like, I don't just fall asleep. I mean, I just, all of a sudden, my whole body feels very light, and I have to lay down and go to sleep. And so, they thought it's the medication, so they're dropping back a medication, which means there's going to be more pain pretty soon. And then, stress is one of the things that causes fibromyalgia to be worse. And so I was stressing trying to get out the 3 videos, because with this new game capture, I have to change the way I'm doing videoing. And until I get that down or figure it all out, it's kind of making me very stressful. And the video game videos were really just a fun way for me to learn how to do videoing. My major focus of my channel is the vlogs and, well, not even maybe the vlogs, but they held an importance for you guys, more so than me, excuse me as I bumped that, is the animation. I really want to get the animation done, and then over on my other channel, Shardvixen's Magnificent channel, I want to do more of crafting and kids stuff, because I used to work with kids, and that was my joy, and I miss it. I miss it a lot. Like, it's one of the things that can get me crying when people say, what is bad about being disabled? I don't really care that nobody believes I'm disabled. I don't really care if people say, fibromyalgia, that's no big deal. I work with bone spurs, and I work with, my hip broken and junting out. What is your issue? I don't have a problem with that. I really don't, okay? Because this is my life, not their lives. But I really miss working with the children. I had seen kids I had worked with when they were 2, 3, 4, and then saw them at 6, 7, and 8. And saw what an impact my helping them had done. Same thing with other kids that I had helped who were older, that were who were like 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and then see them in high school. And yeah, we don't really have a way of knowing if my helping them wouldn't have helped, they would have gone on their own. No one can make that judgment call. But the fact that when they'd see me, they'd be happy and smile at me and say, hey, let me tell you what I've been doing. And even if their lives weren't what we or the society considers fulfillment of happiness and contentment, they felt it was. And that's all you can ever have hope for when you help somebody, is that they feel like you've improved their life so that they can have the happiness and contentment that society talks about. So for my happiness and contentment, I needed to... this is a hobby for me. It is a way for me to not feel severely depressed on the fact that my life has completely been turned upside down. And, people say, oh yeah, you just don't want to work, or, oh yeah, it must be great to sit around on your couch and play video games. It is really hard for me to play video games now. I would have loved it, a while back if I could have just played them. And when I'm on the couch, I'm usually sleeping. Or medicated and feeling like, oh, I don't do the things I used to do. I used to do a lot of hiking. I used to do a lot of camping. I used to go on a lot of trips. I did a lot of cooking and crafting, and I was busy all the time, and I did a lot of stuff. And so, I'm not doing that. Everything's very slow for me now. So, I was feeling overwhelmed with trying to get those videos out because I'm behind because of the game capture makes it a little slower. Believe it or not, you'd think it'd make it faster, but it doesn't, because I have to edit now where I didn't want to edit the video games. So I don't want to make this a rambling channel about my channel, but I'm going to do one video game upload Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and Tuesdays and Thursdays over on the, I would say over like it's actually we got to go someplace, on the magnificent channel. We have to say it that way, my son says. Magnificent channel. There'll be the ones that I do with the kids. I mean, I do one with Bobby Joe on my channel, but that's because he's a little older, and we still don't really cuss a lot. I might say words like pissed and things like that, but he's used to that about me. I mean, my dad cussed all the time. My mother never cussed, and if you cussed, you got. So, all right. So, 5 minutes of telling you about that. Anyway, that's how it's going. The vlogs will stay the same, but I'm hoping I'll have more time to do animation, which is what I really have gotten into in the last 6 months, and I really miss. So, you have to tell me. Excuse me. Tell me how you like the little cartoon at the beginning. It didn't quite turn out the way I wanted, and so I'm going to work on it some more later on down the road and practice with movement. I see movement pretty well, but sometimes I have to stop and actually look at what I'm seeing in my head, how I want it to move on camera. I have to tell you, it would be so much nicer if I had a stylist. You know, like a program, and it hooked into my computer and did a stylus. The computer I have wouldn't be able to do it, but down the road, maybe. All right, so happiness and contentment. Happiness and contentment, first of all, is part of our bubble system. We each have our own viewpoint of what happiness and contentment is. But the problem is that society leaks in and tells us what happiness and contentment is. For a long time, for women, happiness and contentment had to do with being a good wife and having children and things like that. And that has kind of morphed. I mean, that's not the only thing a woman can do to be happy and or content. Now, why the title Happiness versus Contentment? Because people confuse happiness with contentment. Contentment is when you are good where you are at. You might have some good days, you might have some bad days, but for the most part, it is a solid, good feeling for your life. So I have contentment in my life. I have good days, I have bad days, but I like my life. I like it. You know, there are things that you would change, but that just because you would change them, they wouldn't change the contentment of the life. Happiness is that joy, and it's a brief period of time of joy. Like when your child is born, you have this happiness, this joy, this overwhelmingness that it's like the big beam of light that surges through you and does nothing but make you smile. Being in love is that way. Getting that raise at work can be happiness. Watching butterflies in the sunset can have happiness. But you can have happiness and not be content. So that's kind of that thing. So people have to kind of decide for themselves which would they rather have, happiness or contentment, or both. I mean, I like both. I like being happy, and I like having contentment. Being mentally ill compounds this issue. If you suffer from depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, schizophrenia, as I've been told, your sense of all emotions is all blah, but you can be happy, you can be content, and still suffer from depression. It is a sad thing. Okay, that's a pun, but not really. Depression is a sad thing. For children, depression is anger. It comes out as rage and frustration, and they're like, and in some cases, like in mine, I have that part in me too. I get frustrated very easily. I get angry. And I can still feel contentment. I can still feel happiness. But my brain soaks it with these weird chemicals, because we all come down to being chemicals. We're like, I was playing Old World Blues in Fallout New Vegas, and the robot calls you a skinvelope. So we are a skinvelope of chemicals, and those chemicals are reacted by certain stimuli, and for some people the stimuli might be different than others. Some people eating candy creates happiness. It's not contentment because it's not long steady time. And contentment can go for short times and periods of time. But if you don't have contentment in your life, you will severely get depressed. It's one of those natural things. If you can't find that state of feeling good about where you're at for long periods of time, that's the issue. The 75%, the average people out there, have contentment in their life. They don't overthink it. They don't underthink it. They exist and they're okay with it. They may not have happiness, but they're pretty good at where they're at. I have to say that the amount of people who have happiness a lot in their life is very low. And it's kind of sad, actually, if you think about it. I'd like to have happiness. And I get happy. There's lots of things that make me happy. Having my grandson say to me when he crawls in, when Boo Boy crawls in my arms and says, "I love you, Izzy, Mom." That is a happiness. It's just like, and sometimes just thinking about it can keep that happiness going. I'm content that there are days, though, that when he'll say, "I don't like you," but I still have contentment where I'm at. I still feel content about our life and everything. Actually, I ignore him when he says he doesn't like me, because for toddlers, that's their kind of way of, "You're bothering me, go away." So if I say a word that you don't like, you'll leave me alone. Unless I say really bad words, and then you won't leave me alone at all. So the reason I was talking about this is that it kind of ties back into mental health issues. And I know you say, "Shardvixen, you talk a lot about depression. You talk a lot about this stuff." Well, I have to, because it's a part of my bubble. It makes me look out into the world, and I see the world differently, and I react to the world differently because of my depression. And because people always say to you, "Well, how come you can't just be happy? Why can't you just stop being sad?" Well, I would if I could. I would. If I could do it without pills, that would be a plus too. Oh yeah, I have done it in the past without pills. But when it becomes so overwhelming, that idea of having a chemical that can keep you on that even keel, I'm good for it. I find that medication with pills, not to get off track on a weird tangent, is kind of the same as self-medicating. So you got to be careful with that. So I want to use my happiness, how I feel when I'm happy, to uplift me when I'm feeling sad. It's very hard, though. And Blackness will describe that. I know you keep saying, "When are you going to have that out?" My plan is, now that I changed my upload schedule, Blackness will come out soon, and you'll understand about being depressed. Unless, of course, you're depressed, then you'll understand about being depressed. But I'm happy most of the time, and I'm content probably 95% of the time. I like my life. And that says a lot. Even though I'm disabled, I'd still say there's 95% of the time that I am content. There are times, though, where I miss working with the children, like I said, and I miss helping other people, and I miss that I spent a lot of time and effort to get where I was in life, and now I'm way back down below. But those times, still, when I look at it, when I stand and look at where I'm at, and I survey where I've come and where I've been, I'm very content with my life. The question you have to ask yourself is, are you happy? Are you content? Or are you both? And I mean, it's good to be both. That is the goal in life. But content is just as good. And the worst thing you can ever do is compare yourself to somebody else's life. You need to stop listening to the words society tells you and say, "Oh, you're a 52-year-old female." Well, I'm not 52 yet. I will be in August. "You're a 52-year-old female." 51 and a half, more than half. 51-year-old female, and you should be doing this, this, and this for happiness. You should be doing this, this, and this to be content. Okay, when I was 18, it was the same way, and I was depressed when I was 18. When I was 25, it was the same way. When are you going to get married? That's going to be the whole of your life. You get married, you're going to feel happiness and content. I don't know if that's true. I'm sure lots of people are happy and content in their life. But maybe it won't be true for me. I don't know. There are people out there whose idea of being content is, and it's their idea, and I'm not dishing it in any way, is to be something other than they are. And I hope that when they get there, that gives them their contentment and happiness. And most of the ones I've talked to, it does, so it's okay. There's people who would love to be married and have children, and that is their contentment and happiness. So when we think about, and human beings have so many words for so many emotions because there's so many degrees of our emotions. There's the contentment, I'm happy to be here, but it's not quite that overall joyful feeling you get when you see dolphins playing, or when you see little kids playing tag, or when you're singing songs with your friends, or you're, having a good time with hanging out with people you really like. Then there's that overwhelming happiness, like I said, when your baby's born, when you get married, when the person asks you to marry them, or you ask somebody to marry them and they say yes. When you have those feelings too, that's how life is supposed to be. But we needed more and more words to describe it because we have more and more ways of achieving happiness, and we have more and more ways of describing contentment. But we get confused in life. We all get very confused as happiness or contentment. So the ideal goal is happiness and contentment. If you have contentment, that's really good. If you get happiness, that's good. But I think contentment is more important than overall happiness all the time. I think contentment is going to keep you healthy. Happiness is too. By the way, excuse me, I got an itch. If you smile, and it's a heartfelt smile, it'll change the brain chemistry. And if you smile, because we're all connected, the person around you will start feeling that smile. And the longer you smile, the longer you change their brain chemistry too. They don't even have to smile. It just changes their brain chemistry. So relax shoulders, relax feeling, and a big happy smile is going to help in the long run for making you feel happy and feeling content. All right, that's it. I'm out of here. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.